Hello friends, Bones here with a Halloween Kids movie to review. Some of you may recall when Varsha and Joseph visited the Swank Farms pumpkin patch in Hollister, California. That pumpkin patch was where the couple discovered a children's book called Spookly The Square Pumpkin. There were pages of the actual book placed along a corn maze and some Spookly merchandise being sold in the barn. Now the book was written over 20 years ago by a man named Joe Troiano. He first wrote it for his son as a Halloween present back in 1999. It was then published to market in 2001. The children's book is about a pumpkin born on a farm with other pumpkins, but instead of being round, he's square for some reason. The book teaches about accepting others who look different, which is always a nice message for kids. Well, the book became a big enough success on the market that in 2004, Lionsgate teamed up with Kid Toon Films and Hit Entertainment to produce and distribute a 45-minute animated film based on the book. Since the film became available to watch on Netflix, Spookley has only grown in popularity, leading to a series of books, more animated films, and even a YouTube channel that continues to post new videos. Does it make sense for this film to do all that? Is it actually that good by children's movie standards? Time for us to find out! The film opens with a narrator introducing us to Holiday Hill Farm on a chilly October morning. I must say the flying orange leaf is great imagery to establish the fall mood. It quickly leads us to a ladybug with hearts running into a purple bat hanging out during the daytime because... children's movie.
Let's make this as quick and painless as possible. For me.
Whoa! Character danger before we even meet our star? That's more than I was expecting for a movie aimed at 5-year-olds. There are actually quite a few scenes like this. I don't mean a bunch of bat wanting to eat bug scenes. I just mean the film is expanding a lot of scenes that were nowhere in the book. I guess to be fair, if they strictly followed the book word for word and didn't add anything else, the film would be over in 5 minutes. Basically, the film spends a good 35 minutes on a part of the story that only lasts 2 pages in the book. It's also hard not to notice the quality of the animation. It's not Casper's Haunted Christmas levels of bad, but it does look pretty cheap by 2004 standards. But with all that out of the way, Boris the Bat and his sister Bella discover a sight so amazing that they just have to fly at full speed to Jack, the manager of the farm, who is apparently a scarecrow. You know, I'd find this weird if this film was anything but a Halloween story. Since it is a Halloween story though, and one made for kids on top of that, it actually works as well as the other Halloween-esque characters featured like the Bats and the Spider Trio, who we'll discuss later. As Jack goes on his needlessly cartoonish march through the patch, we meet more over-the-top side characters. These bozos are Big Tom and Little Tom. Simply put, they're like the Bulk and Skull of talking pumpkins, but I feel like Big Tom is even dumber than Skull, and Little Tom is even more pretentious and rude than Bulk. But both pairs do get their fair share of physical karma. We also meet Bobo the Beauty Queen, and the musical Honeydews. It's through Jack that we as the audience are introduced to Spookly the Square Pumpkin, an innocent-looking little pumpkin that everyone else naturally is fascinated by due to his odd cube dimensions. But the fascination is quickly cut short by some pumpkin racism from Little Tom.
He's not like us. He's a freak of nature. A mistake. A weed.
Even though there's plenty of judgment to go around from the supporting cast, this scene instantly establishes Little Tom with the role of main antagonist. Look, he even gets his own villain song only 5 minutes into the movie.
Look at Spookley. Look at him. He's so odd, he won't fit in.
The whole scene gets the audience to feel terrible for Spookly really quickly. That's a good thing given that kids' movies really need to get the child's attention fast. It's also pretty bold of the film to take on the serious issue of prejudice this head on. After the villain song, characters begin talking about the Jack Olympics, a 3-part pumpkin sporting event where the winner is crowned the pick of the patch for Halloween. As Jack considers letting Spookly enter the contest, the Bats argue that he has the right to compete since he's a pumpkin, but Little Tom argues that since the games are all centered around roundness, they must only let round pumpkins compete and stick with the tradition of the games.
Tradition! And where would we be without tradition?
But
Tradition!
Tradition! Even with Little Tom's obsession with tradition, Jack decides to let Spookly compete, but Spookly naturally is too busy hating himself and Halloween. That is until the Spider Trio, Edgar, Alan, and Poe make their appearance. And I can't help but feel like I've heard Poe somewhere else before.
And I'm Poe, with an E on the end.
I left my backpack with the toilet paper in it at Mr. Ratburn's house.
After we see the candy corn crown prize that goes to the winner of the Jack Olympics, I want it, Edgar Allan and Binky do a whole musical number about how great Halloween is. Maybe I'm biased, but it's one of my favorite songs in this movie.
Pumpkins are important.
You're a Halloween tradition.
The book author Joe Troiano actually wrote a lot of the lyrics of the songs in this film, and most of them are really good and sometimes a little inspirational, with one exception. They give a whole song to Boris the Bat about how he likes to eat bugs.
Grubs? Any kind of bugs. I love them all.
We're already making this film much longer than its source material. Having a song like this that really doesn't advance the plot just feels really pointless. They could have made this movie shorter and saved some money if they just cut it. But onto the Jockalyptics. The Spider Trio volunteer to coach Spookley through the games, even against Little Tom's wishes. They proceed to play the games, and these next several scenes have some good slapstick humor in them with some puns that will appeal to kids, even with some awkward dialogue.
Would it be so wrong for a spider to fall in love with a bat?
Yes. Yes, it would.
Would it be so wrong for a bat to fall in love with a spider?
Some lines in nature are not meant to be crossed. But poor Spookley just fails at everything. Even the eggplants laugh at him. Like I said, it's an expansion on the very beginning of the book. After the games are over, the characters start doing a dance that has become a staple of the YouTube series.
The Transylvania twist. The Transylvania twist.
But this song is quickly interrupted by the storm featured in the book. This is where the film mirrors the book much more closely, but some changes were made. One change was the addition of a fire hazard, and the other was Spookley's solution to the whole problem of the storm nearly blowing all the pumpkins into the river. Oddly enough, this version is probably better for Spookley since he doesn't have to take a bunch of flying pumpkins smacking him in the face. So Spookley is a hero, and everyone celebrates with the Transylvania twist, an easy dance for kids to get into. We then get to the actual farmer coming out to check on his crops and notice Spookley. He right away decides to display him on his front porch.
And the warmth of his square light.
Oh, good. Honestly, for a second, I thought he was going to be graphically hollowed out like in the ending of Jeepers Creepers. Not gonna show a picture of that here in case any kids are watching this with their parents. Ask your parents about mediocre horror movies, kids. But that's Spookly the Square Pumpkin, the animated movie. Even though it makes some missteps and it has a lot of the same cliches as most children's cartoons, it is a nice, innocent film to play for kids on Halloween. The songs are mostly entertaining, and it does a good job of teaching kids about accepting others who look different. If you liked this video, then check out our review of It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, and our vlog of the Swank Farms Pumpkin Patch. Goodbye, friends!